Hello viewers, a couple of days ago on Gran Turismo we had the biggest ever update to the game. They have subsequently added this, the Polestar 5 Time Trial Challenge 2025. Now the player who gets the fastest time in the world will win a trip to Japan for the Gran Turismo World Finals, which is not a bad prize. Now I found someone who can help me along with this process to try to get a faster lap. So this is Igor Fraga. Now if you're wondering who on earth this is, well he's the 2018 Gran Turismo World Champion. Video I made a couple of years ago where I tried to beat his time and failed miserably. But hopefully today he can propel me up the leaderboard. So first thing, braking on the number 3 board. This is Brans Hatch in the Polestar 5 for reference. He's saying to brake at the beginning of the grass up into Druids at the top of the hill, second corner. And he says it there, very difficult, very technical final corner. I agree. This is one of the worst corners in the world. I hate it so much. I'm going to skip to what his lap time is. And there it is, a 52.336. He says that's a lap time that he can improve upon. But let's see if I can beat it. So I haven't set a time yet. I'm just going to do one lap, see where we can get in the world. With a 52.336 to beat, let's see what we can do in just one lap. Now, I would say that I'm not that familiar with this combination because it's a new car. However, that would be lying because this was the exact combination that was the Invitational Final in LA, if you saw the recent video. So I'm somewhat familiar. That does not mean or guarantee anything with regards to this leaderboard though. So let's see what we can do. Now, of course, the Polestar is an electric car. You might have noticed the distinct lack of sound. And, well, I say lack of sound, there is actually quite a lot of sound when it comes to the tyres screeching, of course. So that's something we're going to have to manage throughout this. Let's go through the final corner. Trying to get on the power, trying to get on the loud pedal. And it felt like a decent lap. So let's drive up to line and see exactly what it is. 51.2. We've got a long way to go, guys. Yes, that was firmly a silver medal time, but we needed a few more attempts in order to get gold. 51.198 I need to beat for a gold, so I'm a little bit away. 8,965th in the world. We have a lot of work to do. And we begin with an attempt on a gold level lap. Now gold is always 3% added on to the best time in the world. And that is, in this instance, a high 50, I think it's a 50.8. With Igor Fraga's lap and career promptly sent to the Shadow Realm, we can continue. Now, of course, Igor's lap was just a gentle reference. He actually tested this car around the real Brans Hatch, which was pretty cool to see. If only I had known he was there, I would probably would have driven down and visited him. But here we are on the virtual version of the same combo, going a little bit wide there, but you can see the delta definitely gaining on the 51.6 on our first lap, and coming up to the line is going to be an improvement to a mid 50 and therefore a gold medal lap time. That's a solid improvement for, what's that now, 3 laps. Okay, so easily gold, top 800 in the world. We're moving up, guys, we're moving up. We're going in the correct direction, which is always a positive thing, of course. And I felt like I was working out where to gain the time. For example, I think this corner I need to get narrower into that apex there. Yes, I think I was wasting a lot of time because of the weight of the car. Any wider of the apex you go, you just spend a lot of time driving a very wide line. So you really do have to be extremely efficient in a car like this when it comes to cornering and the lines that you take. If you turn inside too late, it really just compounds. And so you have to really get that turning in point right. And I was beginning to notice really, especially through this final corner, just how important the braking was. Exactly how you trail off the brake pedal is super important with regard to trail braking and how the car will eventually then turn in. We managed to improve to a 50.393, 340th in the world. So continuing to chip away at our best lap. With a slight increase or a slight improvement to a 50.320, I was ready to go for a 50.2. So we were beginning to chip away. The fastest lap time in the world at this point was a 49.7, and therefore we're actually only 6/10 away from that time. Yes, it is a short lap. However, we were definitely heading in the right direction, and that was actually quite close, I think. So through this corner, just getting two wheels onto the grass on the inside, making the most on the track limits on the outside. It's this left hand here really difficult to get right. You can see definitely improving against the Ghost as we try to keep it really narrow here through clearways. The final corner of Brans Hatch, super difficult to get right. That lap though felt pretty good. Let's take a look at what the improvement is going to be, if there is one. As we drive to the line, it is indeed a 0.2, 50.299 across the line, and I was pretty happy with that, moving up to 216th in the world. Yeah, let's get lapping. Let's do some more. Let's try and get in the top 200. Maybe within 1% would be nice, wouldn't it? So if you're wondering what I was referencing there, I just took a 5 to 10 minute break. Sometimes that's actually a good thing when you're time trialing. If you just relentlessly lap, you sometimes kind of plateau and your lap times don't really improve. Sometimes it is best to take a bit of a break and then come back fresh. And that proved to actually be an inspired choice, because on this very first lap of this next session, there was going to be another improvement. We were going to chip away another half a tenth. That was a decent exit. The car really trying to fight you as you get on the power on the exit of the final corner. But coming up to the line, it's going to be a half tenth improvement to a 249. Oh, straight in. 249, first lap. Driving faster is indeed clearly the key. It is, yeah. It's amazing that on the laps where I drive faster, I get a better lap time. Top 1 pieces of wisdom of the year. Let's add that to the words of wisdom, shall we? If you drive faster, you get a better lap time. Now, that was actually the exact case here. I was driving faster and faster. You can see the record lap time for me improved to a 50.233. And this is the point of a time trial where you begin to just really chip away, not even a tenth, sometimes a quarter of a tenth. And you're happy with any improvement, to be honest. Driving up to the line this time around, we are going to go below a 2 with a 50.195. Yeah, that was a good lap. I'm happy with that one. Within 1% now. 122nd in the world. Top 100 would be great. What is the top 100? It's not impossible, is it? I really think that with a nailed on lap, for me, I could do a sub 50. And a really good way of trying to improve further is to watch the best players. For example, Corned Beef Pasty. At this point, he was 3rd in the world on a 49.7. Decided to watch his replay to see where I could gain some inspiration and gain some time. Now, his lap was incredibly quick, of course. The first sector just really nailed on, maximising the track limits everywhere. Coming down the hill, really difficult corner this. Again, going really wide, maximising the track. 2 wheels on the grass, then fully to the edge of the track. Look at that, just dipping 2 wheels into the dirt, but not too much. Again, maximising the track on the way in. Over the curve, getting on the power nice and early. And then this corner, this is where you can really win or lose so much time. Just look at the efficiency. Keeping it super narrow, getting on the power nice and early with good rotation. It actually comes off quite tight to the apex. And drives to the line to do a 49.7. So armed with that information from the best lap in the world, or one of the best laps in the world, we tried to jump back in and see if we could repeat any of it. Now, some of it involved, of course, just dipping 2 wheels, your inside wheels, onto the grass to really just open up the track as much as possible. And then, of course, through this final corner, just really trying to keep it nice and tight through the entirety of the corner whilst trying to get the rotation. We improved to a 50.162. With that improvement, I decided to use the new data logger feature. This is really important if you want to get quicker on this game. And the first thing I was looking at was this white line that goes from left to right. And this shows you where you're losing your lap time compared to the Ghost that you set. So in this case, Corned Beef Pasty on a 49.7. And most of it was coming out of turn 3, the left-hander at the beginning of sector 2. You can also take a look at the racing line comparison. So the yellow line is the better, the faster Ghost. You see, it just goes a little bit wider coming out of turn 1. So this is really valuable just to know exactly where they're placing their car. You can, of course, watch the replay to work this out, but seeing a direct comparison between the two of you, super important. That's the line through turn 3. You can see it goes a little bit wider, the yellow line, and carries a bit more speed. And that's mostly where I lose a lot of the time. I'm about 4 tenths down, and I lost pretty much 2 tenths coming out of that corner. So that's definitely a place I can target an improvement. I would also say through the next sequence there was a lot of time loss, but that part there was easily the worst part of the lap and the place that I need to target in order to improve the most. Now the next bit was looking at my throttle and brake traces. This was actually super interesting and very revealing. This was my throttle trace through turn 1. So you can see there's a big spike. I'm the blue, and the yellow car is a lot more patient before getting back on the power. So I have this big blip on the power, come back off it, and then go back on it later. And that's kind of just bad technique, I would say, just having that tendency to hit the throttle, come off of it, and then go back on it. Ideally, you only want to get on the throttle once in a corner. I do the same thing here into turn 4. You see the blue spike where I've kind of half pressed the throttle, come off it again, then gone back on it fully, whereas the yellow line is a lot more smooth. So looking at the data logger was super revealing about some of my bad habits and where I was losing the time. And I think when you're really trying to get to the top end of a leaderboard, your technique and your habits really do have to be on point, otherwise the car isn't going to be poised in the way you want it to be. So I jumped back in immediately with a 50.18, which was quite a good lap to jump in with straight away. And I was on a purple here, so I knew I was on for some good times, bearing in mind everything we just learnt in the data logger session. So this one looked pretty good. There was going to be an improvement here. Driving up to the line, what's it going to be? It's going to be a 50.127, so we do improve into the top 100 in the world, 84th in the world, and within 1% of the top time. So things were going really well. There was another improvement not long after, 50.098. So within a tenth now of getting that elusive 49-second lap time. We were getting closer and closer, and I felt like I knew exactly what I had to do, and that's really half the story in a time trial. Sometimes you can just drive around and guess and hope that maybe you'll string it together. I think ideally you really need to know what you're trying to achieve, and for me it was really trying to achieve a good exit there out of that corner. That's where I was mentioning I was losing a lot of my time on the exit of turn 3, the left-hander. It is of course difficult to string in the entire lap together. This one here, this was a really good lap, and I knew it was a good one judging by my reaction. That's a 49. Yes! Come on! What a lap. 36th in the world. That's not bad for someone who does not get on with time trials usually. Yeah, my time trial pace not normally very strong. I would say my race pace is usually much better. However, I continued to see if I could improve upon the 49.97. That unfortunately did not happen. I seemed to reach a plateau, eventually making too many mistakes. I decided at this point I would end my first session and come back fresh in a few days. Alright, we're back after a couple of days break. I am now, as you can see, 63rd in the world. So we dropped from 36 to 63. Let's see if we can chip away a couple of tenths maybe. Well, a few tenths might be very ambitious. Maybe a few hundredths at best. So this first session here, after a couple of days, you really do need to kind of warm back up and really just get back in the flow of the feeling of the car and the track. As you can see, this is 17 laps into this session. My lap times are very consistent, low 50s, as if this was a race, that would be very, very good race pace. Incredibly good, I would say, but obviously in a time trial you just need one of the laps to be better than your personal best. And so that didn't come until lap 20. I was a good 16.5 minutes into this first session. I decided just to keep going, to get lots of consistent laps under my belt. It wasn't until this lap that I decided, let's push a tiny bit further and see if we can just chip away one more tenth. My fastest lap in this session to this point. It's a 50.0, good exit there. Carry the speed into this left-hander. Really crucial corner because it sets you up for the final couple of corners here. Not quite hugging the apex that tightly, but getting a decent exit is not too bad. Fighting the oversteer on the way out. And driving to the line, I sensed that this would be a good lap. Or would it be? Yes, it would. A 49.939. This is exhausting. This is hard work. But we finally got an improvement. We go back to 55th in the world with that. Very happy with the placement, to be honest. Well inside the top 100, I think I've got to be happy with that. Yeah, I think it's a very good position to be in. I did another session here, lots of very fast, consistent laps once again, mostly in the low 50s. But the same story, couldn't quite extract the last tenth or two to improve upon my record. However, on this lap, it was a very similar story. In fact, it was exactly the same story, because coming up to the line, I was about to set exactly the same lap time again. What are the chances of that? Oh my god, exactly the same. You know, I think that's the sign that that is my limit. I really did not think I'd be getting well inside the top 100 on this. 55th in the world. I think that's a very solid showing. Okay, viewers, we have reached the end of the time trial. Let's take a look at what position we managed to get. There it is. 61st in the world. So it's not quite first, but well inside the top 100. I am very happy with that. We've got to say a big congratulations to Corned Beef Pasty for winning this one. Very talented driver, 49.6. He's going to be going to Japan for the World Finals. And luckily enough, I've been given an invite too, so I will see him there. Only 87 people managed to do a sub 50 lap time, and I'm one of them. But congratulations to Polestar for the debut in the game, and thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.